Well, good evening and welcome into the season finale edition of the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina Friday Night Final. I am Mike Solarte. I am flying this thing solo for our last week of the season. J.B. Ricks unfortunately could not be here with us tonight, but we're of course thinking of him. State championships are up next weekend, so let's get this thing started in the Queen City with a big school showdown in Charlotte. Myers Park tangling with Vance. Now each team with one loss at the hands of one of the Queen City's top teams. Vance fell to Mallard Creek during the year while Myers Park lost to Butler. But all that's in the past now because as they meet for the first time this season, a trip to the state championship is on the line for either one. This one moves from Vance High School, being played at Mallard Creek. And that decision made earlier in the week because Vance's field was a little soggy. Mustangs jump out to an early lead. Drake May rolls right, finally decides he's going to tuck and run. And the Ponies take a 7-0 lead. New 49ers head coach Will Healy on hand watching this one. In the second quarter, May connects to Musin Mohammed. Extra point failed, and the Ponies are prancing at 13-0. Vance cut the lead 13-7, and Andre White Jr. going to score his second TD of the game. Extra point gives the Cougars a 1-point advantage at the break, 14-13. Third quarter now, same score. Joseph Morris going to find a little daylight. That's all he needs. Taking it to the paint, 21-13 Vance, the final. Vance will play for the Ship next weekend. Our own Jason Brown was on hand and has more from Mallard Creek.
Vance showed a lot of poise against Myers Park. Down 13-0 early, they scored 21 unanswered, and the fourth time was the charm to make the state championship.
You don't fight back unless you got a bunch of heart against this great ball team right here. You don't come back in a game like this. You know, they could have buried us. But those guys they just wouldn't allow it. And when we went in up by 1 at halftime, you know, we felt like they couldn't score again. We really did, and they didn't, and we did, and to have an 8-point lead with less than a minute left was really felt good. But we knew it wasn't over until it said 0-0-0-0.
So while this big achievement may not have happened on their home turf, it doesn't lessen the celebration that the Cougars are going to have this week leading into the state championship. Here at Mallard Creek High School, Jason Brown, Spectrum News.
All right, Jason, thank you very much. In the eastern half of that bracket, Wake Forest hosting Pinecrest. The Patriots at 11-3. They don't jump off the page when it comes to stats, but they win games. Meanwhile, Wake Forest, they've been smashing teams all season long, scoring no fewer than 22 points in any game this season. Much more in this matchup. We turn things over to our own Mike Toper. And Mike, boy, this Wake Forest team, they're pretty good, aren't they?
You know, Mike, before the season, some people had the gall to bloviate that Wake Forest wouldn't be as good as last season, that they'd pick up a few losses, their players weren't as good. Wrong, because all they've done is go 12-0, 43-game win streak intact. The big question tonight, as you mentioned, Mike, was could Pinecrest knock off the Cougars with the Patriots in the middle of their best season in school history? Well, the only thing colder than the temperatures at Trentini Stadium was the little bit of hope that Wake Forest dashed in the second quarter. No score. Quarterback Mateo Sadipo calls his own number in for the score. Wake got ahead 7-0. Then just under 5 minutes left to go. Sadipo, this time pass in the end zone, gets picked off by Shymeek Reeves, so Pinecrest got something going. They'll start at the 20-yard line, but Greg Van Steen whips it out to the right. Ball falls down on the ground, but there's no whistle. No whistle. Chance Smith, he's like, yeah, I'm going to keep this thing. He goes to the house, 14-0 Wake Forest. Good heads-up play. And then with under a minute to go in the half, Sadipo rolling out to his right. He's going to air this puppy out to Trayvon Kenyon, the future Coastal Carolina Chanticleer. 44 yards in the touchdown. They go up 21-0 at the half. And Wake Forest, they keep this puppy rolling. 49-7, the final.
Well, we knew it was going to be a tough game. Pinecrest has a very good team, but the thing about it, we've been battle tested before, so the kids stayed focused and we was able to get a little success in the second quarter and third quarter. It feels great. I mean, I tell the kids this is the best time of the year to be playing football. If you're playing football right now, you're doing something right.
He's not wrong. So the Cougars will look to make it their third straight 4AA state championship when they play in the finals next week. Mike?
All right, Michael, thank you very much. That ought to be a good one. Wake Forest taking on Vance for that 4AA crown. All right, in the 4A bracket in the West, East Forsyth getting a look at Porter Ridge. The Eagles have been dominant this season, sitting at 13-0. Their closest call being a 16-10 win over their rivals from West Forsyth this season. Porter Ridge got to this point thanks to quarterback Grayson McCall. He almost single-handedly carried the Pirates to the regional championship, running for 5 touchdowns against West Mecklenburg last week. Let's take you out to the triad. First quarter action we go. Porter Ridge finding themselves at their own 4-yard line, and Clede Martin getting into the backfield, and that is a safety. Put your hands together. And East Forsyth wasn't done. Amani Marshall picking his way through traffic, goes 33 yards. A little stiff arm there too. 9-0 at that point. East Forsyth. 4th down, and East going to call for the punt. Fake! Martin breaks through the line, and he's gone. 73 yards to the house. East Forsyth up 16-0. They are playing for the championship next week by virtue of a 32-14 win over Porter Ridge. Who would they face? Well, in the eastern half of that 4A bracket, Scotland taking on 71st, the 10 seed, the Fighting Scots. And they are playing anything like a 10 seed. They're pretty good. Little trickeration and a halfback pass. Mandrell Johnson catches it for the touchdown. Fighting Scots up 7-zip. On defense, Scotland shutting down 71st. Shea Singletary with the sack of Kyler Davis. The workhorse for Scotland, though, Joseph McCoy. First of 2 touchdowns he would score on the night, putting Scotland up 14-0. Had over 120 yards in the first half alone. Later with his team up 21-zip, McCoy getting the rock again, coming right at you for this touchdown run. Scotland up 28-0, and that would be your final. The Fighting Scots, the 10 seed, play for the ship next week in 4A. In the 3AA ranks, Mount Tabor looking for a shot at a state title berth, playing host to Weddington. The Warriors were able to earn a win at top seed Watauga last week, 42-14. They kept a powerful rushing attack in check on the road. Meanwhile, the Spartans have been rolling. They opened the season 1-4, but they haven't lost since. Tyshawn Brown Spartans on a 9-game win streak, hoping to make it 11 in a row when it's all said and done. Let's take you out to Mount Tabor. We pick things up in the third quarter, and the visitors in white owned the first half. They're up 28-0. Will Shipley with the turnover, picking off Jaquan Albright's pass, taking this one back to the 30-yard line where he's knocked out of bounds. Shipley then going to come around and take the little short shovel pass. 18-yard touchdown there. Weddington in front 35-0. Mount Tabor going to get on the board. Albright out of the gun from 2 yards away. Put that one in, 35-6 at that point, but Weddington adds another. Wayne Dixie goes 17 yards. Weddington up 45-6. They win it 45-12. They claim the western side of the 3 of the AA. Meanwhile, Cleveland. Getting everybody's attention as they take on Southeast Guilford. The Rams strike first, already up 3-0. Ryan Douglas picked off by Connor Stanley, and J.B. Riggs would be saying something about cookies and shortbread at this point, but that's a pick six. 10-0 Cleveland. More Rams scoring. Darius Oceans. It's John Barnes. Cleveland up 16-7. Here comes Southeast. Ryan Douglas. Going to call his own number right there. You can't hear him on the video, but he says, "I'm going." And he's going. Down the sideline to the paint. 26-21 is the score at that point. Later on, Douglas after the PAT. There's Douglas going up and in. And that'd be a big score because they would hang on for a 37-33 victory to advance the state title. All right, time for us to take our first break in the action. Much more to get to on the program in this edition of the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina Friday Night Final. We have more highlights to show you from across the state. We keep bringing in the highlights. In fact, Charlotte Catholic coming up next. They've been to this point in the season plenty in recent years. Can they make it back to a title game with a win over Kings Mountain? The highlights are coming up next. Stay with us. All right, welcome back into the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina Friday Night Final here on Spectrum News. I am Mike Solarte. So much more to get to here on the program. Let's keep things rolling in the 3A ranks, where Charlotte Catholic is back in familiar territory, looking for a trip to the title game. Playing in this round, are you sitting down? playing in the regional final round for a 9th consecutive year. But Kings Mountain, they're not interested in history. They're interested in getting Kalen Wade involved, and why not? More than 3,000 yards passing, 42 touchdowns this season, make Wade a big part of what the Mountaineers want to do. But could the Catholic Cougar defense get the job done? Well, they came out in masses. They had flags with them, but so too did the Mountaineers. First quarter we go. Kings Mountain on the ground. Kalen Mack. Oh, he coughs up the rock. Cougars recover in Kings Mountain territory, and the first play after the sudden change results in points. Paul Neal. Look at the blocking. Now he's got some room. He's going to tightrope the sidelines. Is he in bounds? You betcha. That camera saw it all the way. 7-0 Cougars at that point. Second quarter now. Chris Walton going up top, looking for Michael Neal. Oh, wide open. 55-yard pitch and catch. Cougars up 14-0 at that point. The Cougar defense, they answered the bell on this night. They did a good job of being a problem for Kalen Wade. Daniel Bowl will get the pick in the end zone for the touchback. Charlotte Catholic wins it by a final of 30-7, and they are rolling back to a state championship opportunity. Who will they face? Well, they'll take on either Havelock or Jacksonville, the eastern side of that bracket. Cardinals were down 28-7 at the break. They would mount a furious rally in the second. Julian Stevens with the haul in from Justin Benton. Gets away from defender, takes it to the paint, and the visitors just going crazy just like that. Jacksonville down just 6, 34-28. After a Ram fumble on the kickoff, the Cardinals in good field position. Benton again flies in. Missed PAT. We are tied at 34. Havelock cannot get anything going with star running back Cameron Hutchinson on the bench due to injury. Justin Benton, the Cardinal QB, takes over, flies straight ahead to pay dirt. Jacksonville goes ahead of the Rams. Cardinals complete the comeback and pull the upset, 41-34. Wow, big win for Jacksonville in very hostile territory.
Yeah, good win against a quality team. Got lucky, pulled it out, so just happy to be here.
I mean, talk me through that last three scores and stuff.
It was a blur right now. I just can't remember, so it's kind of looking and see what we're doing. I was talking defense, trying to get us to stop and see what we can do.
That's a win that would leave any coach speechless, no doubt. 2 AA ranks in Shelby taking on Hibriten. The undefeated Panthers trying to send home a Shelby team that has made reaching state title games a bit of a habit. Hibriten coach Clay Lewis has seen his team win 14 games in strong fashion with a defense that's pitched 5 shutouts. Shelby played a rigorous non-conference schedule, which got them ready for the real season. They ripped off 10 straight victories. Could they make it 11 by picking up a huge roadie at Hibriten? First play of the second half. Hibriten down 14-7. They tie it up. G. Witherspoon gone. 82 yards through traffic, and he's hitting a turbo, pulling away from people. 14-14 is our score. Hibriten would take the lead. Jalen Scott going to keep it. He's in for the score. Now in the fourth down, and Shelby's got to go for it. The direct snap to Jahari Mitchell. He's going to bring it in. Shelby scores with 58 seconds left. Isaiah Bess, this is a big play, going to find Giovanni Daly. They take the lead and win the game. Shelby with a late touchdown, 28-21 is the final as they knock off Hibriten.
We started slow, kind of like we did in the second half, but we turned it on at the end. Could not be prouder. That's one of the best games I've ever been a part of. And, you know, nobody deserved to lose, and we made the place at the end.
On the eastern side of that bracket, North Davidson traveling to face top seed Ledford. North Davidson ball from the 4. Maddox Johnson going to take it in. And the Black Knights wearing white take a 7-0 lead. Third quarter we go. Ledford's going to get on the board. Robert Little will go in also from 4 yards out. Black Knights take a 10-7, but they would respond. Landon Moore looking for Mason Everhart. Look at the catch at the end zone. Guy draped all over him. 32-yard touchdown. Black Knights up 17-7. A fumble. North Davidson from the 3. Moore going to find Blake Stevens with a touchdown pass. North Davidson gets it done by the final of 24-7 over Ledford. Our own Eddie Hughes has been on top of this matchup, meeting up with both teams earlier in the week. Eddie joining us now from the newsroom. And Eddie, you were at this game tonight. This was a solid performance by the Black Knights.
It was, Mike. It was very solid on both sides of the ball, but defensively they were nasty. Blake Stevens, was a beast, the defensive end. He's 6'4", 260, Mike. He was crushing the quarterback. He had 2 forced fumbles, strip sacks for fumbles, and they turned those into 10 points. North Davidson played well on the defensive side of the ball, and they had great field position. The offense was able to just capitalize on getting the ball deep in Ledford territory over and over again. The Black Knights looked very good on both sides of the ball. And, you know, these two teams know each other very well. This is their 4th meeting in the last year. They met last year in the playoffs, and they play, of course, in the regular season. So it was tough to get going there a little bit. And the Black Knights, they averaged 56 points per game. So the Ledford defense held them down pretty much from what they've been playing and averaging, you know, during the playoffs. But it was a great game, and the Black Knights definitely look good on both sides of the ball.
Well, you had a chance to see the highlights before the North Davidson game of Shelby knocking off Hibriten. How do you rate the Black Knights' chances against Shelby in the state championship game?
Well, Shelby, of course, you mentioned it, they are a powerhouse in the state. And North Davidson finally got over the hump. They made it to the regional round last year, so they're there now. Hopefully they don't rest on their laurels, and they're excited to be in the state championship game. But I think they have a good chance, especially if that defense shows up like they did tonight. And their offense can click. Landon Moore likes to throw the rock. Head coach Brian Flynn likes to push the ball down the field. So they have an opportunity. They've got a very high-powered offense. Like I said, they average 56 points per game. So if they can get back to doing some of those things, I think they have a good shot of bringing the chip back home.
All right, that's our own Eddie Hughes joining us tonight from the newsroom. Eddie, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
All right, Brevard and Reedsville make up the 2A Western final. The Rams putting their undefeated season on the line, looking to make it 15 straight wins this season. That's the same record they posted last year before falling in the state title game against Wallace Rose Hill. On the other side, Brevard reaching the state semis with an overall mark of 11-3. Their last loss coming November the 2nd to Pisgah in the regular season finale. But they've been hot, and they got hot at the right time. One more win gets them to a championship appearance. Reedsville hoping to get themselves a shot at redemption to try to finish off the mission next week. Brevard has the ball, though, on offense. Isaiah Phillips going to go in, short yardage. Brevard, 7-0. Phillips, in fact, carried the ball every play of that drive. Workhorse. Reedsville on offense now. Pass incomplete on the 3rd and goal from the 7, so Reedsville's going to have to settle for a field goal from Zach Baber, 7-3. Brevard on offense, a 2nd and 12. We got ourselves an INT. No cookies on this one. Mitchell Johnson is picked off by Tez Canada. Good run back, but he doesn't make it to the house. Reedsville capitalized, turning the pick into points. Penix runs it himself untouched. Reedsville up 10-7. Rams go on for a very, very close victory. They win it by 3, 24-21.
Yeah, the turnovers were big. We had the interception, which we returned, except the first score, and then the fumble was both those were big plays. Yeah, it was a state championship game, so we know we got to go play again.
On the other side of that bracket, Southwest Onslow met Northeastern in the 2A Eastern final. A wild one back and forth. Northeastern is able to stay unbeaten with a 47-36 victory. The Eagles back in the state title game for the first time since 2010. We are heading into our final break of the season. That's right, one more segment of the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina Friday night final to serve up, and we will come back with our play of the state to put the wraps on it. Plus, we have more classifications to get to. Got a trip to Starmount on tap in the 1AA semifinals. Stay close, we are coming right back with much more here on the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina Friday night final. Welcome back to the program, the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina Friday night final. 1AA action, East Surrey visiting Starmount. We are just everywhere. Starmount already up 6. Logan Ray finds a seam, see you later. 42 yards later, pulled down and spins his way into the end zone. Cardinals up 13-0. Later in the first, Starmount will strike again. This time, Jefferson Boaz to Quincy Smith sideline. Spins it back to the middle. This is a 36-yard pitch and catch. Redbirds are up by 20. Now in the second, Rams trying to get back into it. They're down 26. Will Ray coming up with the deflection, and the touchdown gets them on the board. Now down 19. Later on, the Ram offense starting to click. Trey Desern fires one over to Baden Childress. He comes up with a big catch on a 4th and long, and the score, Starmount makes it a game down 13, but East Surrey hangs on. 44-27 was that final. Holmes taking on Tarboro. They got out to Tarboro, land of Todd Gurley. Pick it up just before the half. Vikings adding to the lead. Quarterback Kamani McDaniels to Clifton Joyner Jr. off the left side. 21-0 into the locker room with the flag. Second half we go. Holmes coming out slinging. Kentress Costin going to fire one deep down to Zion Boston. Little chowda down inside the 10. Next play, Costin going to pitch to Chase Kelly. But they rule that this is an illegal forward pass. So no touchdown. Bring it back. Holmes still fighting though. Costin. That's the flag. Costin the pitch to Johnson Stanley. Going to get around the edge. That's a 25-yard pickup, but then the turnover bug would rear its ugly head and bite. Costin can't handle the snap. Pushes the ball out. Yeah, it's no good. Tarboro gets the ball. Vikings put a stranglehold on this one. They win it 48-7. Let's go to Murphy. All the way out west. Robbinsville and Murphy hanging on. Got to play for a shot at the ship. First possession, Murphy's Mike and Nelson going deep. Just out of the reach of Devontae Murray. No score after one. Second quarter, Nelson to Baron Srabian. 20-yard pickup to the Robbinsville 20-yard line. And Slade McTaggart going to weave his way to the end zone from 3 yards out. Robbinsville would block the extra point. Your final in this one, Murphy getting it done. They took care of business afterwards. They get it done 28-6 over Robbinsville. Rosewood and Pamlico County wrap up our coverage tonight, and Pamlico hangs on for a 16-12 win. William Lovick and Savant Tutt scoring touchdowns for Pamlico. All the scoring came in the first half, so Pamlico will face Murphy for the ship. Time now to take a look at some of the top teams in our state. Our very last poll of the season. It's the Friday Night Final Top 5, and it's presented by the College Foundation of North Carolina. First up, the 4A ranks: Wake Forest, East Forsyth, Vance, Myers Park, and 71st. Top 3 teams you see here moving on as Myers Park and 71st were sent home in the state semifinals. In the 3A ranks, mostly status quo except for at the top. Havelock, that upset and that crazy comeback, they will be replaced at the end of the year when the final polls come out. Charlotte Catholic, Weddington, Southeast Guilford, and the aforementioned Cardinals of Jacksonville are still in the hunt. 2A, another number 1 goes down. Hibriten falls to Shelby. Reedsville and Northeastern still undefeated and cruising. And then, of course, North Davidson, they topped Ledford, so they would flip spots if we had another show. And in the 1A ranks, Tarboro dominates that 1 versus 2 matchup. And, of course, you've got Murphy, Pamlico County, and East Surrey rounding out your top 5. That's your top 5 now. Time for our last play of the state. Comes from Wake Forest, Matteo Zudipo at midfield, throwing it up, and look at the grab from Noah Krogh. Just ripping it away from the defender. Great strength coordination that would set up another touchdown for Wake Forest, but Noah Krogh earns our final play of the state for the season. All right, that's going to do it for all of us here at Spectrum News. A big thanks to Jason Brown, Jamie Ricks, Clark Gerber, Eddie Hughes, Mike Toper. Big thanks to all of our photographers and producers and everybody behind the scenes. We can't do it without you. I'm Mike Solarte. We'll see you next August for the Blue Cross Blue Shield North Carolina Friday Night Final.